Hey, this is Carrie with Beauty Etc's Beauty Watch, and we're focusing on one of this season's most dramatic makeup statements, extreme smoky eyes. We have makeup artist Michelle Tabor here to explain how she created this sable and gold metallic eye. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us how you are prepping the eyelid.
I like to conceal and or use foundation to put over the eyelid to take away any kind of discoloration of the skin that's natural to the skin. Usually people have a purple tone or a red tone in their eyelids. The skin is very thin there, so it has a tendency to be discolored. So I like to prep the eye with a nice layer of concealer and foundation and powder over the top so the color can be more true to the eyeshadow color that it really is.
What are you doing to start the application of color?
Well, after I have the eye prepped, I like to take an all-over eye color brush and do a wash of the first color, which is going to be a bronzy brown with a hint of gold in it. So I'm going to take it and do it all over the lid, mainly concentrating towards the outside corners. As we go on, we're going to add a lighter color on the inner corner of the eyes. So you don't want to mix up too much of the darker shadow in there. So I'm going to leave that bare, and I'm going to just do an all-over wash across the lid, up into the crease, and eventually I'm going to take the same color all the way underneath the eye as well.
What kind of technique are you using with the brush to apply the makeup?
When I do an all-over wash, I like to use the brush in both directions. That way it doesn't leave any gaps in the makeup on your eye. When you use a brush on the eye, it tends to pull the skin with it when you apply color. So it's nice to go back and forth. That way you eliminate any gaps in the makeup if the skin has folded over, so you get the color on evenly.
This smoky eye is all about shape and intensity. Tell us how you're creating the shape.
In general, I like to do a smoky eye that concentrates around the natural shape of the eye. This is going to be a little more intense. So we're going to drag the color outward towards the brow bone. As opposed to highlighting the brow bone, we're going to actually drag out a lighter shade of the smoky color into the brow bone area and feather it out with our sponge so there's no harsh lines.
What's the next step?
The next step is to finally take the color under the eye. So I'm going to take a skinny, flat brush and get some definition under the eye and pull the color all the way almost into the inner corner.
And you're pulling the color down a little bit more?
A little further, simply because this is a dramatic eye. So we're going to take it down just a little further than what would be normal. And then I'm going to use my finger to blend the edges under the eye so that there are no sharp lines. You can also use a sponge. I prefer to use my finger.
I noticed you're using 2 eyeliner pencils. What's the purpose of using these 2?
For this look, I really wanted to make it dramatic, so I wanted to make sure there was no skin showing in the lash line, which on any smoky eye, you don't want to have any skin showing through. But I took a bronze pencil and worked it into the lash line in the center of the eye, and then took a black pencil to the outer corners just to deepen that color so it looks a little more dramatic. And then I dragged it underneath as well, using a smaller version of that first brush, so it's a flat, small brush for precision.
So you're applying the pencil directly to the skin, and then you're going over it back and forth with this brush. Is this a technique that you use? Is this common?
A hard liner used on the lash line would just look too harsh, so I like to take a brush and feather it out so it all blends into each other.
You're lining inside the lower lash line using a black pencil. And then I see you're using quick little back and forth and up and down movements with your brush. What is this achieving?
Underneath the eye, it's important to get the color into the inner corner of the eyes as well. So again, you don't want to see any natural skin coming through for this type of smoky eye. Other types of smoky eyes, you don't even have to line the lower part of the eye at all. For this, we wanted to make sure the whole eye was sunken in into color. So I'm taking the brush and basically moving the pencil around in every direction just to make sure it's covered and to make sure it's in those lashes as much as possible.
Why are you now using a matte brown shadow?
I'm going to take a crease brush, and to make the eye a little more dramatic and have a little more depth, I want to keep the shimmer more on the lid, and I want to put some matte color into the crease, and that will give depth, and then you can start feathering that color out towards the brow bone.
How are you extending the color past the outer edge of the eye?
I'm just feathering the color with the crease brush, and you can also use your fingers to blend down any harsh lines.
What are you doing to the inner corner of the eye?
I'm using a very bright gold on the inner corners of the eye to open up the eye. It's going to pop, bring out the eye color, and it's going to show the dramatics of this smoky eye.
You blend the gold into the crease a little bit near the inner corner. What does that help achieve?
It just achieves an all-over glow, and so all the colors run into each other. That way, again, your eye isn't stopping at any particular point in the smoky eye. It all just seems to flow.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining Beauty Etc. and sharing your tips and tricks for this gorgeous, dramatic, smoky eye.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.